Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the 21st episode of the All Things Sports Talk podcast. I am your host, Iamryanseiser. Today we have a very special guest. He is one of the best baseball players to ever come out of the University of Miami. It is downtown Kevin Brown. How you doing, Kevin?
Good. How you doing, Ryan? Thanks
Good.
for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Just to let the people know, you're one of the best to come out, we mentioned. You were a four-year starter at Miami, usually at first base. You helped the Hurricanes to three College World Series, winning two of them in 1999 and 2001. How much of a help were you to that team?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think I had a good career at Miami. I think I was fortunate to probably play some of my better baseball in those postseason games, I would say. We had some unbelievable teams, in all four of my years there. So I was fortunate to have a lot of great teammates, a lot of talented ball players. And things worked out, right place, right time, and was able to help out at the right moments.
Yes, so a lot of great moments you mentioned. What was it ultimately like playing college baseball at the University of Miami?
Yeah, I mean, it was something it's hard to describe. I mean, I think it's a lot of kids' dreams, if you're a baseball player, a football player, to play the sport you love for as long as you can. And fortunate coming out of high school to have a few different options to pursue in college, and ultimately choosing Miami. And again, it was an experience that it's hard to describe. We had some unbelievable teams, not only with baseball, but the football team was kind of just making their run. Basketball team was good, so it was a great time to be a Miami Hurricane for sure.
And that Miami Hurricane time is turning back around by the football team and the baseball team coming around. Why did you ultimately decide to commit to Miami? Coming out of high school, Northrop Myers, you had a lot of offers. You could have gone to Clemson, UF, FSU, but why was it all about the U?
Yeah, I think I went on a visit down to Miami. It wasn't planned this way, but walking around campus, and Alex Rodriguez happened to be on campus that same day talking with one of the coaches. So I got to talk with him briefly during my visit, and then just watching their practices, just the whole atmosphere. I knew it was a place that if I could go there and play, it was something that I didn't even really look back at some of the other schools at that point. It was I wanted to give that a shot, and see how it turned out.
You mentioned A-Rod just now, Alex Rodriguez. What was it like talking to him on your visit?
I mean, it was neat. This was what was this? This was probably like 1996, 1997 time frame. So he was definitely one of the top players in the game at that time. I think he was probably still with the Seattle Mariners at that time. I'm not sure, but no, it was just neat, neat seeing a guy like that just kind of you know walking around, like a normal person. For me, never really experiencing seeing a superstar of that status, and a baseball player for that matter. But Miami was loaded with a ton of other stars at that time. Pat Burrell was a freshman phenom from a year or two prior to that. Seeing and talking with him and some of the other guys right after one of their practices was a pretty cool experience.
Those are some great guys you just mentioned. You're a great baseball player in your own right, and that's why you're in the Miami Hurricane Sports Hall of Fame. When you got that call that they wanted to add you in there, what was going through your mind, and what's that moment like?
It was very surreal. I was actually at a high school football game with my son at the time when I got the call, 8 o'clock at night or so on that Friday night. And yeah, it was obviously a great phone call to receive, very emotional. I'm I was very fortunate to get the opportunity to play at Miami, fortunate to be on those teams. And like I mentioned earlier, that I did end up having, some very good moments at the right time. And just being able to, be in the same sentence with so many of the other Miami greats that are also, Hall of Famers across all sports. It was an honor that I truly, truly cherish and am humbled by it. And it is a great feeling of accomplishment to be elected into that class.
We love to hear that, and your hard work got you there. That's a great moment. Unfortunately, you had some tough ones. Your junior year, your senior year, you battled through a couple of injuries. What was those hard moments like, and having overcome as you're all the way on the top, being one of the best baseball players?
Yeah, no. So you did some research. So yeah, I mean it's everyone goes through the ups and downs. I mean, just baseball by nature is a very up and down sport. You hear all the time you get a hit 3 out of 10 times, you're doing good, and that's kind of coming off my sophomore year. Had a great season. Uh, through my sophomore campaign, we won the national championship, beat the Florida State Seminoles. Coming into my junior year, started off the season, my junior year even hotter. And yeah, you start thinking about, I'm going to have even better year this year. It's my draft year. I don't know what's going to happen. And then, something happens. And I fouled a ball off my shin. Thought it was just kind of a deep bone bruise. I ended up cracking my shin bone, missing a few months of the season. Took me, quite a bit to recover. So, kind of my plans or reality of being drafted my junior year and moving on to the next level at that time kind of went away. But I firmly believe everything happens for a reason. Rehab my leg that whole off season, came back my senior year, and still, started off the year struggling. I didn't start off hot. Still, leg was hurting a little bit, and but ultimately, I turned it around. The team turned it around. We went on to win another national championship my senior year. So, like I said, everything I feel does happen for a reason, and it turned out to be another amazing experience to be able to come back for my fourth year at Miami and finish in the way that we did.
100%. We'll get more into the MLB draft later on in this show. But you mentioned it, a lot of hard times. How did you overcome those times as being one of the best baseball players at Miami? We mentioned getting injured, not coming back as strong as you started, and ultimately turning it around and staying positive because baseball is a mental sport at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think I mean for me back then my approach was just tomorrow's another day and the next game's another game. And if I approach it that I'm going to just try to do my best this next game, the game after that, the game after that, things will take care of themselves. And I didn't look at it. There was a time my junior year that I was a little down, like, oh man, now I'm, missed a couple months of the season and came back and wasn't performing as well as I thought I should have. And then that leaked into my senior year. But just, we're playing a game that we love. We all want to do the best we can at it. And for me, it was just approaching it that let me try to do the best I can for this one game. For the next game didn't matter kind of who we were playing or what the environment was. And for me, it was like, let's see how long I can do this. If it's making it to the next level, making it to the big leagues, so be it. If it's not, that's fine. We'll pivot and do something else.
100%. In order to come back and get back on track, you have to have a lot of work ethic. What's your work ethic like in baseball?
Well, I mean, I think it holds true for, in my opinion, anything you do in life, you have to work at it. And I think for me back then, we'll start in high school, going up to into college. I mean, you have to put in the work. I mean, um, it kind of wasn't a question for me of every day doing something to try to get better. Every level you move up, the competition just gets that much better. And if you're not, if you're sitting back, kind of patting yourself on the back a little bit for maybe past accomplishments, you will get passed by. And I think that was instilled in me with my parents growing up. Just if you start something, you got to finish it. If you're going to do something, try to do it to the best of your abilities. Don't just go out there and go through the motions. And that was the approach I took, and that was the approach after getting injured too. Is like I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to come back. And then when it was the future was I'm coming back for my senior year, I'm gonna try to make my senior year the best experience it could be.
Well, you certainly made it the best on and off the field. You rank very high in almost every category, stat-wise in baseball at Miami. So many great players came out of Miami. We know a lot of them. But when you're all the way up there, when people look and they see your name, Kevin Brown, what's that mean to you?
Um, I mean, it's a good feel. It's a great feeling. The Miami fans. I know sometimes they get a bad rap, but it's really only Miami. Miami is such a big city that when when the teams are doing good, they show out and they support their teams. When they're not doing so good, they may not come out as much. Fortunately for us and for my stretch when I was there, we had some very good teams, great fan support. Obviously, we had a lot of success during my 4 year run there, and it is a great feeling. And I still go back to some of the games today, the baseball games, football games. I may run into some people that were there, as adults watching me play, and even kids that were maybe 10 years old when I was playing in college, and now they're 25, 30 years old. And they may come up to me and say, "Hey, I remember when you were playing." It's a nice feeling to have. And again, we had we had some great teams. I was fortunate to have some great moments and great contributions to those teams at the right time. And you know, it's nice. It's nice to look back at that.
Definitely. What's the impact like having a huge impact on the young generation?
Um, yeah, so I think it's kind of the same thing we always hear, but it is, see, they say follow your dreams, but it's really try to when you're like in high school, and I'll just say like to playing a sport, um, do the best you can. Don't not everyone's going to make it to the next level, in whatever level that is, whether it's high school to college to minor leagues to the MLB. But keep pushing and keep giving it your all, so you don't have any regrets. That's what kind of one thing I think I used to say to myself is I don't want to look back 5 years from now and be like, oh man, if I would have just hit the gym a little harder, if I would have just hit more batting practice or taken more ground balls, maybe I could have been better, at this or whatnot. I mean, you're always going to have a little bit of that, but I would say if I was giving a talk to a bunch of little leaguers or something, just have fun. You have to have fun. It shouldn't be. It's a lot of work, but it shouldn't be all work. You got to have fun at what you're doing, but you have to put in the work in order to see the results. You can't just expect the results.
Yes, sir, 100%. And talking about all the negatives, the positives, a lot of positives, came out of Miami. 3 of the years you went there, you guys win the national championship. Won two of those. What was it like winning two national championships on the biggest stage? Everyone is watching you, national championship.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's interesting because my freshman year, we arguably that was our best team. We had our lineup was stacked. We had guys like Pat Burrell, that was a number one overall pick, Aubrey Huff, which was I think a second or third round pick, Jason Michaels, um, Bobby Hill. I mean, all these half a dozen of these guys played 8 to 12 years in the major leagues, and we thought we were, pretty much the number one team. We thought we were going to go in and have no problem. We didn't win, the College World Series. Great experience. I mean, back then, Omaha, uh, I don't know, 25, 30,000 fans at those games. It was I didn't get to play in my freshman year in the World Series, but I got to kind of soak it all in. And then we came into my sophomore year not really knowing what our team was going to be like. We lost a lot of guys from the previous year. We got a lot of new guys that came in that, we had high hopes for. And, that sophomore campaign coming in, I think up until a couple years ago, I don't know if it was Tennessee or whatnot, we were still the last team to be ranked number one going into the World Series to actually win the national championship. And just winning that game, and not only winning the national championship game, but going against the Florida State Seminoles in the national championship game. It was just it was an extra sweet moment for us. And I know uh, a dagger to the Florida State guys. I still talk to some of the Florida State guys from that team that I was friends with. So just being able to not only win the national championship, but do it against Florida State, do it in Omaha. Nebraska is not a big fan of Miami from 80s and 90s football. So we didn't have a ton of non-Miami fans rooting for us in Omaha, which was fine by us. But just being able to experience that 3 out of the 4 years, our junior year, we thought we had a really good shot. We came up short to even make the College World Series. And then, my senior year, again, we were up and down all season. And then there was a moment during that 2001 season that it just started to click. And I think we won our last 17 or 18 games in a row. And being able to win 2 national championships, being able to win one is obviously very hard. Being able to say that we've won 2, during my 4 years is tough to do. And it's, I know for me and a lot of my old teammates that I still talk to, it's still a very special accomplishment that we talk about to this day.
You will always have that to carry on with you. Even though you didn't play your first year, I'm sure that's still devastating, watching from the dugout and watching you guys lose. When you went into your second year, was that extra motivation?
It was, I think, because there was a lot of us that were there my freshman year. We knew, going in, we then knew we had an idea of the atmosphere. We knew to not get stuck with our head in the clouds, I guess, taking it all in. We were there on a mission, and that was kind of our approach. My sophomore year I think it was, the mantra was, we got to win 4 games. And after the first win, we said, all right, we got to win 3 more games. We have to win 2 more games. Now we have to win 1 more game. And so I think at least experiencing that for me personally, my freshman year, was a huge help going into my sophomore year, not only for the other guys that experienced it, but also the freshmen coming in of what to expect.
100%. And we mentioned the reason you had so much success is because you're such a power hitter. What's it like, how much fun is it just hitting a lot of homers over that fence?
Yeah, I mean, it was I wasn't ever known for my speed. But yeah, it is a nice feeling to hit a home run and to hit the ball far. And that's kind of what one of my main jobs was on the team, is to try to drive in runs and hit that long ball to get them in. It is a good feeling. It's something that you never forget. Not only that feeling when you hit the ball, but then just the ball going over the fence and the music playing, the crowd cheering, all that. It is a great feeling. And I was, again, very fortunate to have some of those during some bigger moments. Whether it's in the College World Series or some of the playoff games leading up to that moment.
Well, a lot of those big moments and a lot of balls going over those fence. You talked about living without any regrets. When you look back at your Miami career, do you see any regrets or you did everything you wanted to?
I mean, I think it's natural to always have some regrets. You always kind of look back and say, well, maybe could I have worked harder? Could I have done this? Could I have done that? Obviously me getting injured my junior year, like that was, that's not I wouldn't say that's a regret, but it's like, oh man, I wonder, sometimes I've looked back, it's like, oh, and what would have happened my junior year, if I hadn't gotten hurt at that time. But then I also remind myself, well, I wouldn't have come back for my senior year and wouldn't have won another national title. Um, so I think you always look back and say, oh, could I have done something different? But I think for me, at least, my career at Miami, I'm happy with how it turned out. I'm happy with um, the work that I put in. I'm happy with the teams that we had and in our results. So I would say, now I'm just so thankful that I had the opportunity, um, to participate with those teams.
And I'm sure a lot of Miami fans are happy that you got to suit up in a Canes uniform. I'm sure you were happy when you got drafted by the Atlanta Braves in the 2001 19th round of the MLB draft. I'm sure ever since you were a little kid, you wanted to be a professional baseball player. When your name got called, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, no, it was a good moment. I mean, I think everyone, just like if you're coming out of high school, going to college, I mean, everyone wants to continue to have the opportunity to pursue their dreams. And the Atlanta Braves was a team that I had watched growing up on TV. So it was a great moment, a very exciting moment. I really enjoyed my time uh, with them. It didn't work out as I had hoped, but it doesn't work out for a lot of people during that time. But it was a great organization to be a part of. Got to experience some spring trainings. Got to run into some of the Braves guys at that time. That Chipper Jones, Gary Sheffield. Cool seeing those guys that you had kind of grown up watching on TV, and now you're actually in the same locker room, at least, putting on the same uniform, if it was only for a brief time. So that was a cool moment as well.
That must be really cool. What's it like just being around so many legends in one room?
Yeah, I mean, it's you're in awe a little bit, and then you also kind of think to yourself, oh, hey, you know I could maybe do this. You kind of get hope that I could maybe some get to some kind of level like this. At least for me, seeing someone that I had heard about or watched on TV, or I it was so cool to see those guys. And then if you talk to them, they're just normal ball players. And so you do get that thought, like, well, I could probably do this if everything works out. I could probably get there. So those were some of those moments that I had.
Those are some great Braves players. There's a lot now, Ronald Acuna, Matt Olson, Ozzie Albies. Do you watch any MLB baseball still? And who are some guys you like to watch?
I do watch some baseball, not a ton. I mean, being a Miami Hurricanes, we try to watch the Marlins a little bit, although sometimes it's tough to watch. But no, I don't I guess I don't have any particular players in general that I watch, but I do enjoy watching the game and watching some of the players. I think there used to be a time where when I was younger, I knew a lot of the guys. I'm like, oh, I played with that guy, or oh, I played against that guy. I remember playing against him or in the summer league or whatever. But now most of those guys have already played and been retired. So I don't know as many of the guys out there, but I still very much enjoy watching the game.
Yes, sir. You mentioned unfortunately it didn't work out for you making it to the MLB. You played 4 minor league seasons in the Braves organization before retiring. When you retired, what went through that thought process to call it up?
Yeah, so it's always a tough call. And I think I would say my last year was probably my best year in the minors. Uh, but I had to kind of be real with myself that every year that goes by, you're older. I think I was 24, 25 at the time. Every year there's a new crop of 17, 18-year olds getting drafted in. You don't make a lot of money in the minors. I loved playing in the minor leagues. I loved being able to wake up and play baseball every day. But there kind of comes a time where you have to, make a decision to move on. You've given it your best. Let's go on to the next phase of your career or phase of your life. And that was a decision that was made. But and I don't regret it. I think everyone would love to play a game they love for the rest of their life. But again, I think I saw that the I guess the odds of me making it to the major leagues and continuing that dream were probably not going to happen, and I needed to come up with another dream to pursue.
Still must have been a great honor that, the Atlanta Braves thought of you, called you to draft you because a lot of people came and say I got drafted by a MLB team.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I'm very blessed and appreciative of the opportunities that I had to play that game, to play 4 years in college, winning the two national titles, and then playing 4 years in the minors and experiencing that, meeting a lot of good friends along the way. A lot that I still keep in touch with. So again, a great time in my life that I wouldn't change, and I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to do.
Well, we mentioned that you're one of the best to come out a lot, but I really want to put into perspective. Against Stanton in the 2001 regional championship game, you tied a single game postseason record by hitting 3 home runs and driving in 10 RBIs. How good did that feel to put your team on your back and get you guys a big win?
Yeah, no, that was a special game for me. I think there's a handful of games in your career, a handful of at bats where um, some people have called it like the zone or whatever, when you just things kind of seem to slow down a little bit. And I remember I got interviewed right after that game, and I kind of said the same thing. Like everything just seemed a little bit slower. And I had a good game. Was fortunate to, yeah, the 3 home runs, the 10 RBIs. I remember I was feeling so good during that game. I think my last at bat, I swung at a curveball that, in my mind, I was like, I'm going to hit my fourth home run, and I ended up grounding out to the shortstop, and I was upset that I missed it just because I was seeing the ball so well during that game. And it was a big moment. It was a postseason game. I think a regional game for us to move on and advance. So being able to drive in those 10 runs during that game, I can't remember how much we won by, 6 or 7 runs, but it was a great moment for sure.
I'm sure it was a lot of fun. You played baseball at Miami, 2.5 hours where you grew up in Fort Myers. What's it like growing up in Fort Myers? They produced a lot of great athletes, football wise, from Sammy Watkins to Deion Sanders. Not a lot of baseball, but when people mention Fort Myers athletes and your name comes up, what's that mean to you?
No, yeah, it is. It's pretty neat to be sometimes in the same breath as some of those those other greats. I mean, yeah, obviously football with the Sammy Watkins and the Deion Sanders and Javon Curse. I went to high school with um, Ernest Graham. We played baseball against each other growing up. He went to another high school, and then we had a lot of great baseball players just come out of my high school during that time. But being able to being in the Lee County Hall of Fame, the University of Miami Hall of Fame, with all those greats, it is cool, and it is nice to be to be grouped into that same class.
You said it again, Miami's Hall of Fame. When you actually got inducted in person, how cool was that? When they called you up on stage and gave you the jacket.
Yeah, it was a very cool experience. Was able to obviously my wife and my kids joined me. Being able to share that with them, they weren't around when I was in college, but being able to they've definitely heard all of the stories from me, and being able to share that with them, my parents, friends, and family. Even Jackson and his parents drove over, which was so cool to have some other our friends and family drive over to see that induction, and then just to be on the stage with the fellow inductees, and then in the audience there were some past inductees in there attending as well. But just trying to take in the moment that you're in the same book. It's as some of the all-time greats, not just at Miami, but that are in the Hall of Fame from all the sports. It was a great experience that I had, and a great experience that I was able to share with my wife and kids as well. It was a very cool moment.
A lot of support you certainly had. You said that you told your kids a lot of stories. Do you ever go back and maybe show them videos of you playing at Miami?
Uh, Sometimes, yeah, my son will find some YouTube clips. We'll go back and attend some games, and I'll show them around campus or some of the places I used to go to and hang out. And being able to share that with them is pretty neat. And sometimes they remind me I guess how much older I'm getting and how long ago that was. But and there wasn't a lot of video, there wasn't YouTube or anything like that around, but there are some little videos floating around that I'm sure they've seen many times and are probably sick of seeing. But it's cool to have those moments with my wife and kids, and when we do go back.
Must be a cool moment as a dad. You have a very cool nickname, Downtown Kevin Brown. Where did that come about?
I don't know. I don't know exactly when it came about. I think it was probably maybe towards the end of my freshman year or my sophomore year. I think as I started uh, hitting more home runs. It obviously kind of rolls off the tongue. I don't know who said it first, but that kind of became the nickname. And every time I'd hit a home run, the announcer would yell it out, and so it was pretty neat. Not a bad nickname to have.
No, not at all. And thank you very much for coming on this episode and joining me here today. Is there anything else you would like to tell the people?
No, I just appreciate you having me on. Jackson sent me the text, asked if I'd come on. I've seen the piece of you on the news, so you're doing great things. So no, I just appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, thank you very much. And, shout out to Jackson for making it happen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 21 of the All Things Sports Talk podcast. I am your host, Iamryanseiser, and that is Miami Hurricanes great baseball player, Downtown Kevin Brown. Thank you, Kevin.
All right, thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.